Hello guys, welcome back to a brand new video. I hope all of you are doing well, keeping well, looking after yourselves. So this is the first proper video since I restarted my YouTube channel. For those of you who didn't catch my last one that I did on Monday, I just kind of briefly went through what I'll be discussing on the channel and just the kind of future of it and what you can expect going forward. So this is the first one of it, and the discussion that I will be having today is in relation to life in Ireland post-COVID and kind of how I've noticed our society and you know our culture has been since then, because COVID was such a kind of monopoly in the fact that it was so unprecedented in our time for people my age, and just for society in general. And I feel like there's been a lot of things that have happened since then and so much change, and I'm going to talk about some of the change that I've noticed, and it's probably more in a negative sense, but there are some positive things too, so we'll run through that throughout the video. So obviously COVID first came into Ireland at the beginning of 2020, and look, we're still technically in it, you know, we don't have lockdowns or kind of restrictions anymore. Society has kind of been properly reintegrated for the past 2 years, year and a half now, so we are starting to slowly, you know, make our way back if we haven't done so already. But I think the impact that COVID has had on us as young people can't be downplayed enough. For you know, a lot of people, including myself, didn't really get the opportunity to go to college as well. A lot of people who were just kind of starting out in the workforce as well, in terms of trying to get jobs and kind of make a living for themselves, being able to make their own money, kind of have that level of independence that comes with being a young adult. A lot of that was restricted, almost stopped completely for that period of time. And just, you know, as young people, it's incredibly important that we have a social life, the social aspect of growing up and learning about who we are for both men and for women. It's critically important, and that was stunted for so long. And what I've noticed, certainly over here, and you know, having, you know, gone on like nights out and stuff and kind of any kind of social setting of that ilk, you can still see the effects of it, and that ties not only into, you know, just your casual night outs or meeting up with people on the fly kind of thing. I think it ties into, you know, dating in this day and age now, and trying to make new friends and kind of integrating into just groups in general now, whether it be groups that you have in work or groups that you have in college. It's very important to build that up, and that's what life is. Life is about meeting people, trying to build connections, and you know, have those kind of support systems and just have fun. And you know, you learn a lot about yourself as well when you integrate with different people and make friends and make connections. And I think the biggest thing that I've noticed is that people are probably a lot less inclined to put themselves out there as much. Anxiety and stress and depression was a big thing during COVID. It completely was. We had basically our lives taken away from us for a number of years, and we got so used to that way of living in terms of being isolated, being, you know, having to kind of fend for ourselves and just not being able to see anyone. It's incredibly tough. And at our age, like, because we're still learning so much about ourselves, that, you know, once we got reintegrated back into society, it's a whole kind of shift as well. We went from just being so used to going out, doing what we want, meeting whoever we want and meeting new people all the time, to then just being stuck in the household with, whether some people were living by themselves, some people were with family, or, you know, living with friends or whatever it may be, to just have that around. And any kind of communication you had with friends, boyfriends, girlfriend, whatever it may be, was purely through a screen. And that is, of course, it's a way to communicate and to to keep a foundation there, but it's not the same as, you know, meeting up in person and having a face-to-face connection on a human level. So having to kind of adjust to that is very difficult, and I do understand it. But the one thing I have noticed is that I think people have become just very comfortable with, some people just by being by themselves. But I think if we're having this discussion about social aspects and just kind of groups and gatherings and all that, people are very inclined to just keep to that group or that specific person. And normally pre-COVID, certainly I noticed that it was a lot easier to kind of, on a night out in a pub or whatever it may be, to go and approach people, just try and, chat to whoever you may see in there, try and get on, have a laugh, integrate. It was a lot more easier. People were more open to that idea. But whereas since we've come out of COVID and once like pubs and stuff opened again, that kind of mindset that they had during COVID kind of stuck, and it's very difficult to try and integrate now. And I've certainly found that difficult living here. Some people may attest differently, and it's probably different in other places around the world, but I can clearly see that COVID has had a big impact on that. And just in general, I think if we go on to the dating thing as well, I think a lot of people probably developed a lot of insecurities during that time as well. People may have been kind of afraid of how they might have looked or the way they might have changed during COVID and during the lockdowns and everything, that it became difficult for them to kind of talk to people and just be able to kind of be happy with who they are and talk about their experiences during it all. And it's hard to build connections. It's hard to, it could tie into dating as well. I think people don't have that level of trust that they did. I know trust is a big thing, and it comes, it can't just come naturally. Trust gets built over time, but it's played a big part. And I think especially in this country, obviously we can only attest to this country. We don't live anywhere else, but it has been a big sea change. And we look at a lot of it's become very limited as well. It's become very limited to where we can go. I think a lot of people during COVID were so excited for lots of different places around the country to reopen again. There were so many different options in terms of pubs, nightclubs. Dublin used to have this vibe about it where you go, okay, if we like this spot, we'll use just say the Academy, for example, first one that popped to my head. You would go there, didn't have it if it wasn't, the vibe wasn't good, or if it just didn't feel right, or the night wasn't going well, you could go, okay, grand, we'll leave here. We gave it a try, and now we'll go somewhere else. We'll go to PMax or something, whatever it may be. But now you look at the Academy, I don't even think it's going to last very long. I think I heard that it was going to close down. I may be wrong with that, but I certainly heard that somewhere. Just heard yesterday that PMax was closing down as well. And there's a lot of places around Dublin that have, became a staple of Irish society pre-COVID, even the likes of Bernard Shaw as well, that used to have such kind of edge about them, such kind of, you could recognise it, and you could kind of have a sense of connection with the place. You don't get that anymore. And that may be the clientele, then maybe just that fear that people have had to kind of reintegrate and kind of get back to normal. But because COVID did become our new normal, that adjustment and that, change has just been very difficult for a lot of people. And when I've kind of been abroad, I've been over to Spain, I've been to Canada, and experienced the nightlife out there as well. And I just noticed it being vastly different. There wasn't this kind of nervousness or anxiety that I certainly have when going out here anymore. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know who you're going to meet. You kind of have this in the back of your head. You go like, do I approach these people? Do I try and talk, or do we just kind of stick to ourselves? Because it's just become the norm now. I think that it's very hard to integrate with people. It's very hard to kind of figure out, or to kind of, see how people are around you, or to kind of make new friends and make new connections. It's been very difficult. And, in saying all of this, as I mentioned at the start of the video, we've only kind of really, really been back into, I say, society nowadays, because it's still changed vastly, and it's not the same as it was pre-COVID, and that's to be expected. People are still adjusting. People are still trying to, people are still carrying a lot of weight that, may have been on them in a physical and mental sense during COVID. So it's a very interesting kind of topic. I know I certainly struggled during COVID. I think we all did. Um, as I mentioned, with college and stuff, it's one of the biggest things that I kind of have regret over. Well, I say regret, like it was kind of out of my hands really because of obviously the scenario of it. But even just going, like, obviously the option is still there to go back. A lot of people will be in the same situation. You do have that kind of anxiety or that kind of worry about, will I fit in? What is it going to be like? What is the dynamic in here? And it's trying to overcome that and trying to, excuse me, really try and pick up where we left off before COVID. I think that's the biggest thing we can talk about. And the nightlife is just so prevalent for us, for people our age, because we have fun doing it. I'm sure everyone can attest to the fact that, we've all had great nights out. We all have bad nights out. It's not, the bad night was because of this or the great night was because of that. It can happen. It happened before COVID and it's happened after COVID. But I've just noticed that big sea change of people's mentality towards others, or that fear that's just been installed or instilled within them because of COVID. And it's worrying. It is worrying because this is our country, this is our city. We have a lot of memories attached to it. We'll always have love for this city, but it's sad to see it go the way it is, especially with a lot of the places closing. We look at what happened with the riots a couple of months ago. It's scary. I think a lot of people are getting frustrated as well. Frustration is still a big thing. We were all frustrated during COVID. It was natural. We had, all the freedoms that we were so used to just gone. It's come back, and I think people kind of have been in that middle area of still having that COVID mentality, but also trying to challenge it as well, is what's causing the frustration, I think, among many other things. But it's certainly been something that I've noticed. But yeah, no, that was an interesting old discussion. It's something that I think has been on all of our minds, certainly for a while now. And it's up to us to really try and bring that back and to try and, have fun. Don't be afraid to talk to people. Don't be afraid to open up. Don't be afraid to, be open to connection, be open to opportunities, because we didn't have them for so long, and now we have the opportunity to get it back. So yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it after this video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. If you're new, hit the subscribe button and like the video if you enjoyed it. And like I said in the previous video, if you have any comments or suggestions on topics that you would like to see me discuss, please do let me know. I will be interested, and I'm open for kind of any discussions really. So yeah, that is all. Thank you guys for watching again, and I will see you on Monday for the next video. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.